topic today, right? We're going to spend, maybe about 30 minutes just reviewing, obviously, this week's trades, right? I had one loss this week, 3 winners, and over the last 2 weeks, so this week, last week, and then some of the week prior, that was the only loss. So that's, 10 trades with 1 loss there, taken live, right? Private Circle, you guys see all of these setups. Obviously, yesterday I didn't take a trade. Price action wasn't that great. But, regardless, over, about 11 trading days, we took 10 trades, 9 were winners, 1 was a loss. I want to ensure everybody who's here on stream understands my strategy. So I'm going to start real basic first, just showing you guys the strategy, maybe reiterating some things to everybody who studied the free content. And then we're going to break down these trades. We'll talk a bit about Q1 and how it went, right? We are now pretty much a fourth of the way through 2026. Phenomenal results, so many 10 grand months, so many first time payouts, right? Even in December, a ton of you guys were doing 5-figure months. AJ, you being one of them. All right, let's get started. 52 people in here so far. I appreciate everybody. Damian, welcome. So going over just the results, and I'm minimizing the chat right now, so I can't see chat. I will open it back up here in a second. But guys, these are my Apex funded account results for March. Okay, this is live Tradeovate login. I took this yesterday, March 2026, right? I took a little scalp, just a little later in the day, really small, but profitable trades percentage wise, right? And I do trade 2 groups with these Apex accounts. So, but in general, 86.14%, that is trading live with a P&L of $6,400 per 50K. You say this is a 50K funded account. This is per 50K, right? So 20 50Ks, $6,000 made in the month of March. Obviously, I'm taking payouts. So the balance right now is 54 grand. I'll take a payout, 2 grand, knock that down, and then just keep rinsing and repeating. But this is live, right? All of my claims, I don't advertise perfection, but I do advertise and believe in consistency via my strategy. Now, I'm not showing this for any other purpose than to show the results that we're producing. You guys saw ZK post $100,000 in Apex payouts using my strategy, right? You guys have seen plenty of other members in here posting phenomenal results as well. So it's not a question of if it works. It's just, is this the strategy for you? Well, I hope I can maybe help you come to a decision regarding that. So for anyone who doesn't understand my strategy, what is it, right? It's IFVGs based on higher time frame context. So I'm taking 1 minute and 30-second IFVGs, right? Based on that higher time frame context. And what do I mean by that? Private Circle, you guys know the 3-letter acronym that I say on a daily basis, which is DDE. Number 1 is draw. This is a magnet pulling price in one way or another. Okay. Number 2 is delivery. Now, you can use the word delivery, you can use the word reaction interchangeably, but this is what pushes price. Okay. This is a level that price has already hit. So draw is something that hasn't yet been hit in the market. It's pulling price. It's acting like a magnet. Price hasn't yet gone there. Delivery is something that the market has already hit and interacted with. So pushes price, right, and acts, as that trampoline force, if you will, or rejection, support, whatever you want to call it. But it's something that the market has already hit, right? So this is giving us that reaction. Third and finally is our A+ entry via that 1 minute or 30-second IFVG. And what I mean by A+ is just it's an unobstructed IFVG, right? There's no conflicting imbalance in the way. There's no volume imbalance, right? We've likely mitigated any order block, stuff like that. So this is the strategy, right? What does that actually look like mapped out in the charts? Well, if we're bullish, it's going to look something like this. And obviously, I'm only trading the 9:30 New York open, okay? I'm not trading London. I'm not trading Asia. I'm not trading New York afternoon session. I'm only trading the open because that's when volatility is injected into the market, okay? That's when we see a flood of manipulation. We start to see some distribution. And I'm entering. This is something everyone needs to understand. I'm entering after manipulation. Each and every one of my trades occurs after manipulation. Now, if that's a reversal, it's going to look something like this, right? And this is very rudimentary. It's basic, but it's a great reminder for everyone who knows, and it's a great lesson for anyone who might be a bit newer, right? So manipulation, if I'm bullish, keep in mind, if I want to go long, I'm never going long like this. I want to wait for a fake out. I want to see manipulation in the form of lows being swept. And then I'm looking for my IFVG somewhere here on that manipulation leg, right? I want to see a bearish 1 minute or 30-second FVG form on that manipulation leg and, enter after it's been inverse. And keep in mind, this is after the 9:30 open. So let's just assume this red line is that point in time of that 9:30 open. That could occur here and market chops and accumulates, or it can occur after accumulation if we see immediate manipulation at the open, right? Either or. But I'm never entering here, right? I'm never taking a trade after the open just if we're moving in one direction. I first need to see that Judas swing, that fake out, that manipulation, whatever you want to call it, after the open. So this is what an A+ long looks like for me, assuming we have a bullish higher time frame draw there, pulling price up, right? Again, draw acting like a magnet, something that the market is rushing to go get. Delivery, in this case, being that sweep, and maybe a higher time frame FVG down there that we're bouncing out of. And then finally, that A+ entry would occur here with that IFVG. Okay, makes sense. I'm going to stop real quick there, make sure I'm catching up on the chat. Badonk, good morning, good to see you. Adriana. Guys, so someone just requested to record. I'm not going to do Zoom recording. I'm already recording here on my end. This will be posted later in the YouTube. Badonk, so these are 50Ks, which initially start off with $2,500 of drawdown, but as you build that buffer up, that stops trailing once you achieve 2,500 of profit. Jason, no, I don't trade Asia or London. I don't trade any inferior session, right? Those are all inferior when it comes to volatility and ATR. So I don't want to be trading when the market's quiet. Give me a second, guys. Dr. Perp, good to see you. 9:30 New York opening time, correct, Ren. That's 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Alex, I will go over my bias here in a second. Why don't you build a larger buffer? There's no point, because on 50Ks, your max payout is $2,000. So anytime I'm at 54 grand, I take 2,000. What's the point of getting up to 56 grand if you can only pull out 2,000? With new Apex rules, they consider moving you to live after the 6th payout, so you no longer withdraw that entire buffer. That used to be the case. After the 6th payout, you pull it all out, so you could do that. But with 50Ks, 2,000 is the max payout. So anytime I'm at 54,100, which I'm pretty much at now, I'm taking those $2,000 payouts. And again, with 20 accounts, that's a $40,000 payout. What prop firm do I recommend? Apex is number one. They are, at nearly $700 million paid out. Right, by far, Top Step is number two in terms of payouts, and they don't even have half of that. Then it's, Lucid is really good, TPT, all those other guys, but Apex is number one for a reason, right? And everybody hears the most bad info about Apex. Of course, you're going to hear people talking the most about the biggest firm, right? But you can't deny that they are the biggest. They paid out the most people, and now with their payout policy, you pretty much don't get denied. If you follow rules, you're able to request a payout, and it's going to get approved. What copy trader do I use? I use Tradeovate built-in copier. My strategy is, it's fractal and it can be applied to any asset, any time frame, but I trade NQ because it's the most volatile. Guys, I'm going to avoid the questions I might have already answered in other content. If you are brand new to my strategy, watch my APJ mentorship on YouTube, absolutely free. I want to respect everybody's time and move through this efficiently and get those free evals given away. With a live account, can you withdraw more than 2,000? You can with Apex. I'm curious to see how they start implementing that. Angel, no problem. Do I risk more during the evals? Yeah, I don't like trading evals. It's a waste of my time, right? I don't need to waste my time on evals, so I trade them really aggressively if I have to trade them legitimately. All right, so let's get back into it real quick. Again, hold your questions for a second, please. Let me just move through this. If you guys want to take a screenshot of this, this is what an A+ bullish setup looks like for me, right, to go long. Vice versa. If I'm looking to go short, right, I want to be entering after that manipulation to the upside. Okay, so if we're chopping ahead of the open or right after the open, I'm waiting for that fake out to the upside first, and then I'm going short. What I'm not doing is selling here. If price were to do this and give me an inversion like this, this is not an A+ short. This is not a short I'm going to take. And everybody in the private circle, you see me pass on setups like this all the time. Why? Because we're lacking that delivery. I don't care if the draw is bearish. If we didn't sweep these highs, if we didn't reject some higher time frame bearish FVG, I'm never going to take this trade. Reason being, I don't want there to be an obvious reason for a stop out. Okay, obviously I'm going to lose some of my trades, right? That's the nature of this business. But if there's an obvious reason for a stop out, I'm not going to take this trade. Something I've been saying a lot recently is, just being cognizant of the fact that no one is forcing us to trade. You get to choose when you want to put risk on. So do so very appropriately and selectively, right? So this is not a short I would take. However, a short I would take is like this, where we sweep these highs and then we give that inversion. Okay, notice the difference here, guys. We've swept that buy side liquidity. We've manipulated. The reason this is significant is because this induces people to go long. It stops out early shorts, right? And it just makes the market a bit more violent. We want to be entering when the market is rushing, right? I want to be entering after most people have gotten stopped or, the market is reacting to something. So this is an A+ short for me, right? This is certainly not. All right, got it. So draw, delivery, and entry. Hopefully everybody is crystal clear on that. Regarding 30-second inversions, I don't take them for first attempt reversals most of the time. What I mean by that is, let's say we have a really strong trend in the market, and I'll just touch on this quickly, and then we're going to move to setups we actually took. Let's say the trend is like this, okay? I'm not going to take this, let's say this is literally hundreds of points that the market just went up. I'm not going to take the first 30-second IFVG to the downside up here, right? Why? Because yes, we've swept all this prior liquidity, whatever highs we took out, but I want to see liquidity swept again on our current session high. So this isn't something I would take for a first attempt reversal. What I would take is something like this. We come up, right, like this. Let's say we come back down, right? People are, the top is in, let me sell short, let me sell short. Again, I want to be entering after people get stopped out after another fake out. So I would prefer to see session high swept like that and then get an IFVG here. This would be A+. This is what I mean by first attempt versus non-first attempt reversals, something a lot of you guys have asked questions about. So take a screenshot of this, right? This is what I want to see for a real reversal. I don't necessarily want to be taking the first IFVG that's given. However, if the market never does that second sweep, I'm not saying the market has to give me what I need to see. I will adapt to price. I'm just choosing when to put risk on. So a setup I would take would be something like this. If we really establish that downtrend like this, okay, now it's pretty certain this is a reversal. Then I'm going to look for little micro retracements and entries to go short. Okay, so notice the difference here, guys. These two setups that I would take versus the setup I wouldn't take. I wouldn't take a first attempt inversion up here, but if we either sweep this high again or we come down and we establish a new trend like this where it's clearly a reversal, a retracement is proven to be followed up by continuation of that original trend, I would take that. All right, so enough drawings, enough charting. This is not art class. Let me show you actual setups we've been taking. Just going to touch on a few. Again, I took 3 winners this week, 1 loss, so absolutely phenomenal week. That first loss was the first in 2 weeks. So we've been really crushing it to end Q1. This is Monday price action. Are reversals riskier than in-trend trades? That's a great question, Badank. Yes, they are. Obviously, just because you're going against the trend. So that's why we want to either see a sweep of that initial high or a confirmation of that trend. Correct, Ariana. How do I decide whether to place stop loss at swing low or bottom of displacement candle? Nick, it just depends on my risk reward. I'm looking for about 0.8 risk reward on average. Most of the time I'm getting more than that, 0.9, 1-to-1, but I'll, just look for that. All right, so jumping to Monday's price action, really interesting week in the market, right? We had tons of geopolitical news and factors influencing our volatility, right? This was overnight Monday, literally 1,000 points in a few minutes. And this was only an hour and a half before Monday's New York session. So we were coming in pretty aware of, this big ATR. We wanted to be picky. But, these are the 2 setups we got. Okay, so 2 beautiful 1-minute inversions. We'll start with the first here. Again, I'm going to chop some of these candles off here. Just to clean it up, but this first setup here, don't mind this second box. This was a short to the downside, right? Some of you guys caught this. It did happen pretty quick, but what we were looking for, was some lows to be swept. This was the 930 open. We came up, right? We built plenty of trendline liquidity lows here, right? We knew that at least one of these lows needed to be swept. Okay, we're looking for that low-hanging fruit. Again, if you guys aren't familiar with my strategy, I'm always looking for low-hanging fruit targets. I'm risking generally about 15, 20 points, and I'm targeting, 15 to 25 points. Just looking for the nearest swing low or swing high to get out at, and that's how I've had an 86% win rate. If someone is, holding trades for 20 minutes or 2 hours, they're not going to have an 86% win rate. Sure, they might still make money, and that's great. But in my opinion, that's an inferior way to day trade because you're leaving a lot more up to chance. You're prolonging your risk exposure, right? You're not going to get as many setups. You're going to have these big inconsistent months. You might have a great month this month, and then next month it might be dry. So I like scalping. I like the repeatable nature of it. So this is the first IFVG that we took on Monday. We had relative equal lows here. Hopefully you guys can see that, right? 1, 2, and 3. This last candle is the candle we took profit on. So this is what swept those lows. But, market came up. We rejected these 2 1-minute FVGs, right? We inversed this bullish FVG here on this candle. Not on this candle. This is not a close below, okay? But on this candle here, we gave that inversion and we closed below this volume imbalance. So that's an A+ entry, right? That's an A+ entry right there. I took this on a retracement. I told you guys I don't want to see the market sweep these lows before I get my entry. If it did, I wouldn't have taken the trade. But market came up. I took an entry pretty much when we came back to this bullish candle here. This is an order block. Took an entry there on this candle. As you can see, this wick is what filled me on my exit, right? We swept those lows and we got out. Okay, stop high of the inversion. If you want it to be a little looser, you could put it at that order block. Still great risk to reward, right? So wait for that inversion close on this candle here and get a nice deep retracement entry right around here on this candle got filled, right? And then we took profit. The wick came down first, obviously, as you see, and then we closed that trade there. So that was trade number 1. 1 minute inversion, price closed below this order block, closed below the volume imbalance, closed below the FVG, so A+ entry. Draw being these relative equal lows, delivery being, obviously we were in a really deep premium. Needless to say, right? Market's all the way up here, and then rejected these 2 FVGs. Shouldn't be frozen. Screen should be okay for everybody. Let me know. Was your connection okay? What would the higher time frame, Nabil? Well, we were in a deep premium, right? Market had plenty of lows below. We had shot up 1,000 points. All of that. Yeah, this is a 1 minute. Now, when I am trading live, I have 8 time frames up. But again, we're going through this for the purpose of efficient learning. I'm not going to be breaking down 8 time frames. No one has time for that right now on a Saturday. If you guys want to really learn my strategy, study the hours and hours of free content I have. Sign up for a free trial. You'll see all that. But I want to make sure everyone understands the actual trades we're taking, right? Let me go through this. We'll look at 2 more trades we took this week, and then we'll get those evals given away. So that was setup number 1, right? A short, relative equal lows. Make sure you understand that. Again, all of these trades are posted in the Discord, right? Look at the trades channel. I post these live. Go ahead and look at that. Now, shortly after, very interesting, right? The nature of scalping, because it is such a consistent business model. We had a 1 minute IFVG to the upside. Okay, this is how quickly things can flip, and this is why I love trading the New York session at the open, because of the volatility and because of situations like this. So right after sweeping these relative equal lows, right, what did market react to? We reacted to this obvious 1 minute order block. An order block, guys, is a counter trend candle, right, that's followed by displacement. So this candle here, you see massive displacement that followed. You see a reaction to not only the order block, but 1, 2, 3, 4 lows being swept on the 1 minute. And then once again, zooming in, what else do you see? You see an A+ IFVG. Why is this IFVG A+? Because we closed above the volume imbalance and the actual fair value gap. So very good setup here, right? Strong close there. Can feel comfortable buying this close, right? You could take a retracement entry. We took this you can get out at this upper FVG. FYI, for you guys who are new, I'm always taking these conservative exits. Stop at CE of this 1 minute wick, right? I am, the draw might be New York high, which is right here. But I'm always going to get out at any opposing PD array that could stop us out, right? So if price came up and tapped these bearish FVGs, that's a risk of stoppage. So I'm going to get out there, right? Trade plays out beautifully, just like that. Okay, very quick. And that's why I always, tell you guys, yes, I do live trade. You can follow my trades if you make that informed decision on your own to follow my trades, but you need to understand the strategy because this happens quick. Right, 1 minute we're taking a rejection and a premium, we're targeting relative equal lows, but context changes quickly. Then we swept those relative equal lows, we get an inversion to the upside, market is seeking new session high. These are things you have to be able to adapt to in real time. I always say, trading the New York Open is like going into a championship NBA game every day, right? It's not practice, it's a live market. The pressure's on, the risk is on, the money is real, right? And there's no time to second guess things. You have to be able to think quickly, right? Scalping is a very aggressive way to trade, and it demands a lot mentally. So our 30-minute, 45-minute, or 1 hour work days, they might be short and concise, but there's a lot of mental pressure, and you need to be sharp and fast thinking on your feet. Do I trade market open for volatility? You can trade NQ at other times. I just like the obvious manipulation at the open. Stop loss CE of this 1 minute wick. Can you review how I mark out my fib in the morning? Absolutely. And with the upper volume bounce, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but we have these upper FVGs where we de-risked and got out. What's my specific monitor setup? I have two Acer 35-inch curved monitors. I used to have a 49-inch Samsung monitor. Funny story there, 2 or 3 years ago. Just, not a emotionally disciplined trader. I broke my monitor with some AirPods. Yeah, took a losing trade. I was just sick of it, but that's how it goes. So real quick, you guys are asking about higher time frame bias and whatnot. Let me show you. So Jaylene, one of my private circle lifetime members, she says she just checked her performance center on Tradeovate. You've been very strict following my strategy for the last week or so, and you've had a 94.4% win rate. Let me put that on screen. Holy cow. Lifetime membership paying off big time. That is absolutely amazing, Jaylene. Congratulations. You put in the work. Again, I'm not going to take credit for that. You can learn any strategy. You could become profitable with whatever strategy, but you put in the work and it's paid off. I'm glad to hear that. All right. So as far as marking out my fibs goes, Wasim, this is for you. I look at two specific ranges. Okay, I'm always looking at our post midnight high and low of day. What do I mean by that? Anything after midnight Eastern, that is considered the true daily open. If you guys have watched ICT 2022, you know this. Anything post midnight high or low, that is my range. So when I come into the market pre-market, let's say right before the open yesterday, this was the range we had. This is what I'm marking out. Okay, I'm looking at high of day post midnight, and I'm looking at low of day post midnight. And this is what we had. So this is a premium, right? Excuse my poor drawing skills. That's a premium. This is a discount. Okay, that's all I'm looking at. Do that for any day. Post midnight, anything after midnight Eastern, right before the open, mark out low of day, high of day. And then obviously at the open, I'm marking out, our New York session range. So anything after 9:30, right? Highs and lows, that's it. That's all I'm looking at. That's the only way I use fibs. We'll review one more trade and then we'll wrap this up, guys. How do you join lifetime membership? Yeah, lifetime is a one-time fee. You can look at the lifetime channel in the Discord, Rudy. Yeah, midnight Eastern, Jay. How I come up with my bias. So how I come up with my bias, I mean, go ahead and watch APJ Mentorship, Higher Time Frame Bias. I have a video dedicated to this. I'm just using higher time frame, technical analysis. The same concepts there. Where is liquidity in the market? What FVGs are we respecting? All of that. Hassan, this is the course, my brother. Jaylene is a lifetime member. You know, I've had my one-on-one call with her. She has been super consistent, showing up every single day, and she's been killing it. 94% win rate, guys. You know, it's one thing when you guys see me advertising my 86% win rate for the month of March. You know, obviously, I know my strategy well, but when my members are advertising and showing their 94% win rate, that is phenomenal. And Jaylene has honestly, she hasn't been with us that long. I think in February she joined, and she's been killing it. This will be recorded. It'll be on the YouTube. Rudy, go ahead and take a look at this channel. If you have any questions about lifetime membership, DM me. We did have a 50% off sale. That's no longer valid, but we might do a little discount in the future. Not 50%. I want to honor everybody who's committed. But lifetime membership is available. Just look at that channel. All right. One more trade to review, and then we're giving away 2 free evals. Just stick around. I appreciate y'all's patience. Let's get right into it. So this was a short on Tuesday. Now I'm going to be showing you a 30-second short that we took on Tuesday. So pay attention. Give me 5 more minutes. We'll get these evals given away. I appreciate you all for sticking around. So let's see what we had. Okay. This is, you know, how the market looked, right? So you guys are asking about higher time frame bias, all of that stuff. You know, what do I immediately see? What are my eyes drawn to here? The first thing I see is obviously we're in a discount, but we have lows, right? This is a very big low in the market here. This was low of day. And then this was the open, right? If you have a trained eye, you see all of this as accumulation, okay? Right? You see the manipulation here. And keep in mind, this is immediately after the 9:30 open. This is the manipulation we're looking for. If you guys took a screenshot of that, you know, the drawings I just created, accumulation, manipulation after the open. That's very consistent. I always want to see manipulation after the open. And then I'm taking an entry to distribution that follows that manipulation. So look at this, guys. Relative equal highs here, all swept, right? Not 1, not 2, 1, 2, 3 relative equal highs swept. Okay, that's manipulation right there. Bearish FVG tapped right here, right? Fresh bearish 1 minute FVG rejected. So our delivery factor is those relative highs being swept, is this 1 minute FVG rejection, right? And then our entry, everybody should see it, right? Do you see this IFVG? Look at this bullish FVG. It was formed as price manipulated. We broke outside of this accumulation. People are getting induced to go long. They're falling for the trap. Market creates a bullish FVG. We sweep those highs. We reject that 1 minute bearish FVG right there. And then we get our inversion. Notice that price also closed below that little volume imbalance. A plus entry there, sell short, right? What's our draw? Well, we have all of these lows here, and then we have low of day right here. This is a trade we took live. What happened? Boom. Just like that, okay? This is precision. This is a well-rounded and structurally sound system. I'm not just looking at entry. Too many people are just looking at entries. I do have, in my opinion, the best entry system in the world. But I also look at that draw and delivery, okay? I'm not coming into the market blind. I'm looking for a push, a pull, and then my entry. Okay, makes sense, guys? Take a screenshot of this, study the trade. These are A+ setups. Awesome. Congrats. All right, guys. Great Saturday, great free class. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys showing up. We'll do these more often. I'm happy to, you know, serve you guys in every way I can. There's a ton of you guys. I want to give everyone my one-on-one attention. I really can't do that, right? There's only one of me, but we have so many great mentors and so many great resources in the Discord. You know, if you really want to learn my strategy, sign up for a 7-day free trial, absolutely free. No catch there. If you like it, stay on. If you don't, just take the knowledge and run with it. I will see you all on stream Monday, private circle.